The story begins with Terry Richmond, a former soldier trying to live a quiet life, riding his bike down a rural road. He's got his earphones in, listening to music, completely unaware of the approaching trouble. Out of nowhere, two police cars pull up behind him, flashing their lights. Terry, oblivious to their presence due to his earphones, continues cycling. The cops, Officer Evan Marston and his partner, Officer Steve Land, grow impatient, assuming he's fleeing the scene. They speed up and cut him off, forcing Terry to stop abruptly. The two officers get out of their patrol car and aggressively cuff him, accusing him of attempting to flee from them. Terry, surprised and confused, tries to explain that he didn't hear them because of his earphones, but the officers are in no mood to listen. Evan and Steve, in typical corrupt cop fashion, decide to investigate Terry further, asking him probing personal questions about his identity, where he's headed, and what he's carrying in his bag. Officer Evan goes through Terry's backpack and finds a sealed package. When he asks Terry for permission to open it, Terry refuses, asserting his rights. This refusal only seems to irritate the officers further. Despite Terry's refusal, they don't let it go and decide to call for a K-9 unit to search the package. Evan informs Terry that the K-9 will take about an hour to arrive, but Terry is on a tight schedule. He tries to reason with the officers, but they insist on waiting for the K-9. After a few tense minutes, Terry, realizing that time is slipping away, gives in and reluctantly allows them to search the package. When they open it, they find a large sum of money inside, close to $30,000. The officers' eyes widen as they inspect the cash, immediately suspecting that it's drug money. Terry explains that the money isn't from any illegal activity, it's his hard-earned cash, meant to bail out his cousin Mike from jail. Mike, who's been locked up for marijuana possession, is being held at the local courthouse, and Terry needs to post bail before his cousin is transferred to a state prison, where he could be in serious danger. Despite Terry's explanation, the officers remain skeptical. Officer Steve counts the money and remarks on the large sum, 10 grand for bail, while the rest is supposedly for buying a truck. Steve asks about Mike's charges, and Terry explains that while Mike was in possession of marijuana, he wasn't selling it. Nonetheless, the cops decide to keep the money, claiming they suspect it's linked to drug activity. They tell Terry that he'll need to prove its legitimacy through legal paperwork, a process that could take up to 30 days. Frustrated but knowing he has no choice, Terry forcefully complies, and the officers release him. With time running out, he heads straight to the courthouse to try and post his cousin's bail. When he arrives, he meets Elliot, a court clerk, and explains his situation. However, Elliot informs him that without the money, there's nothing he can do to help. To make matters worse, Elliot also tells Terry that the jail is undergoing renovations, and all the prisoners, including Mike, are being transferred to state prison soon. Terry is visibly frustrated, realizing that the clock is ticking. Elliot introduces him to Summer McBride, another court clerk and aspiring lawyer, who might be able to help. Summer and Terry meet up later for a drink, where Summer reveals some disturbing news. She explains that the local police department, including officers like Evan and Steve, have a reputation for confiscating money under shady legal pretenses. Once the victims are unable to fight the legal battle to reclaim their money, the cops keep it for themselves, often claiming it as evidence for ongoing investigations. Terry shares his concern about his cousin, who has been cooperating with the authorities by providing information about dangerous criminals. If Mike is transferred to state prison, his cooperation will likely make him a target for retribution. Terry and Summer discuss the best way to come up with the money for Mike's bail before it's too late. Summer suggests that Terry try to secure more cash as quickly as possible, and Terry agrees, calling his business partner, Mr. Liu, who owns the Chinese restaurant where Terry has invested. Liu agrees to wire Terry the money within a few hours, and Terry feels a small sense of relief. That night, Terry, unable to rest, decides to confront the police department. He locates the precinct where officers Evan and Steve are stationed and plans to pay them a visit the next day. His goal is simple: get the money they took from him, or at least the 10 grand needed for his cousin's bail. The next morning, Terry arrives at the station and meets Officer Jessica Sims, a seemingly by-the-book cop. Terry files a report claiming he was robbed and describes the robbers in detail, two officers who match Evan and Steve's descriptions. Before Jessica can investigate further, Officer Steve walks into the room, halting the report. He accuses Terry of filing a false report, and things escalate quickly. The police chief, Sandy Byrne, steps in and sides with his officers, ordering Terry to leave. However, Terry, remaining calm, makes a deal with Sandy. He tells the chief that he doesn't care about the 30 grand. All he wants is enough to bail out his cousin. Chief Sandy, sensing an opportunity, agrees to return the bail money on the condition that Terry keeps quiet about the rest. Terry agrees, but only if he's allowed to see his cousin before the transfer. Sandy, in turn, tells him to come back on Thursday at 9 a.m. Thursday rolls around, and Terry arrives at the police station on time, only to find out that the prisoner transfer bus has already left. Sandy had deliberately moved the schedule forward to sabotage Terry's efforts. Terry, undeterred, races after the bus on his bike, catching up just as it's about to leave town. He yells to Mike through the window, telling him to ask for protective custody as soon as he gets to the prison, hoping it will keep him safe. With no other options, Terry goes back to Summer for help. She tells him she's been digging into the cops and found some incriminating information. Not only are Evan and Steve corrupt, but the entire courthouse, including the judge overseeing Mike's case, is involved in a larger conspiracy. Terry, now more determined than ever, is ready to take matters into his own hands. He revisits the police department, this time with a plan. Terry confronts Chief Sandy again, demanding his cousin's freedom and the return of the bail money. But this time, things turn physical. Terry disarms both Sandy and Steve, locking them up in their own handcuffs. With Officer Jessica in tow, Terry forces them into the property room, where he finds stacks of cash and an arsenal of weapons. He takes what he needs but leaves most of the money, sticking to his original deal. Terry knows he needs to make a clean getaway, so he convinces Jessica to pretend to arrest him. Together, they drive out of the station smoothly, avoiding the suspicion of other officers. But as soon as Terry is clear of the station, Jessica puts out a police alert, labeling him a fugitive. Terry races back to the courthouse with the 10 grand, hoping to post Mike's bail before it's too late. However, the cops are already on his tail. Just as Terry hands over the money to Elliot, the courthouse is swarmed by police officers. Terry is arrested on the spot and taken into custody. The cops drag Terry down to the courthouse's underground holding area, where he's given a quick medical checkup. Officer Evan takes Terry from the medical bay to a waiting police car where Chief Sandy is already inside. As they drive away from the courthouse, Sandy lays it all out. He admits that they checked Terry's background and realized too late that he wasn't someone they should have messed with. But now, it's too late to undo what's been done. Sandy tries to make a deal with Terry. He offers to return the rest of Terry's money and promises that they'll let him go, as long as Terry agrees to stay quiet and never come back to town. If Terry refuses, Sandy threatens to frame him for assaulting the officers, which could land Terry in prison for up to 30 years. Reluctantly, Terry agrees, though his anger and frustration are palpable, just as they finalize their deal. Sandy reveals another piece of devastating news. Mike has been attacked in prison and is in critical condition at a nearby hospital. The news hits Terry hard. When they arrive at the hospital, Terry rushes to Mike's side, but it's too late. Mike succumbs to his injuries before Terry can say a proper goodbye. Overcome with grief and rage, Terry now knows that he can't just walk away. He vows to make those responsible for Mike's death pay, no matter the cost. Terry reconnects with Summer, who has continued to dig up dirt on the cops. She suggests they go after the courthouse judge, who has been complicit in the police department's illegal activities for years. Summer explains that the judge has been profiting off the corrupt cops by facilitating their shady asset seizures, with a portion of the stolen money going to state funds under the guise of legal fines. With Summer's help, Terry devises a plan to expose the cops and the judge. They need hard evidence, and they know exactly where to find it. The dash cam footage from Evan and Steve's patrol cars could be the smoking gun that brings the whole operation down. The problem is, the footage is stored deep in the courthouse's underground vaults, guarded by the same cops who put Terry behind bars. Terry and Summer go incognito, pretending to be couriers delivering documents to the courthouse. Inside the courthouse, Terry and Summer navigate their way to the underground vaults, dressed as official couriers. They use forged IDs to get past security checkpoints and reach the vault's entrance, using a combination of the stolen access codes and a keycard swiped from a distracted security guard. They manage to bypass the high-tech security system protecting the vault. Once inside, they locate the storage room for dashcam footage and begin searching for the specific files from Evan and Steve's patrol cars. Summer quickly identifies the correct files and starts copying them onto a portable drive while Terry keeps watch. Their operation goes smoothly until they're interrupted by the arrival of a suspicious security guard. Thinking fast, Terry and Summer hide in a storage closet, holding their breath as the guard passes by. After a tense few minutes, the guard leaves and they finish copying the footage. They exit the vault and head back to the courthouse's main floor, where they blend in with the crowd of visitors and employees. Back at Summer's office, they review the footage and find damning evidence of the officer's corruption, including interactions with drug dealers and illegal seizures. The footage also includes clips of Sandy and the judge conspiring to cover up their illicit activities. Terry and Summer compile their findings into a comprehensive report and prepare to take it to the authorities. However, as they plan their next move, they receive word that Sandy and the judge are onto them. The two corrupt officials have been tipped off about the missing footage and are now targeting Terry and Summer. Realizing they're running out of time, Terry and Summer decide to go public with their findings. They arrange a press conference and invite local news stations, ensuring that the evidence will reach a wide audience. During the conference, Terry presents the footage and explains the entire scandal, including the corruption within the police department and the courthouse. The media coverage is explosive, and the story quickly gains national attention. As the scandal unfolds, the authorities are forced to act. Chief Sandy, Officer Evan, Officer Steve, and the judge are all arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including bribery, corruption, and obstruction of justice. The stolen money is recovered and returned to its rightful owners, and the corrupt officials face severe legal consequences. Terry, while still dealing with the personal loss of his cousin Mike, finds some solace in the fact that justice has been served. He and Summer become local heroes for their bravery and determination in exposing the corruption. The courthouse undergoes significant reforms to prevent such abuses in the future. In the end, Terry decides to leave town and start anew, seeking a fresh start away from the painful memories of the past. Summer, now a recognized advocate for justice reform, continues her work to ensure that corruption is rooted out and that the legal system serves everyone fairly. Terry and Summer part ways, but their shared experience binds them with a lasting friendship. The story closes with Terry riding his bike along a scenic route, leaving behind the darkness of his previous life and heading toward a hopeful future. The sun sets on the horizon, symbolizing a new beginning and a promise of justice achieved. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe to Plot Pioneer for more thrilling movie recaps that keep you on the edge of your seat. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.